I'm Ted with Gizmachis. I'm going to show you how to make your own sourdough bread. Knowing how to make your own bread is important in these troubled times. Making bread with a fermented culture is the ancient way dating back to the Sumerians. It's much healthier and it's easy. We learned how to make bread using this book called Wild Bread by Mary Jane Butters, along with Michael Pollan and his series Cooked. Step one is to start the culture. Equal parts of water and flour and mix together. Now the bowl is set next to an open window, or take it outside just for a few minutes and then bring it back in and cover with a cotton kitchen towel. I'm now going to moisten the towel. And then tuck the towel in around the bowl. After 1 or 2 days, the culture should have bubbles. It's important to keep the towel moist. Now our culture has bubbles and we're ready to move on to the next step. The culture needs to be fed in the morning and in the evening. And to do this, we add equal parts of flour and water. And mix together. It doesn't need to be mixed thoroughly. And then cover with our moist towel. The culture will take about 2 weeks to produce good bread. The volume increases every day. In the meantime, use the extra volume to make pancakes or waffles. This culture has been active for about 4 months, and this is what it looks like on bake day. On bake day, be sure to take a cup of your culture, put it into another mixing bowl to continue the process. This is bake day, so I'm going to add a tablespoon of salt and a tablespoon of sugar and then mix. Now that the salt and the sugar are mixed, I'm going to start adding flour. A bowl this size usually requires about 2.5 cups. This needs to be mixed thoroughly. A good test of consistency is to see that this spatula will stand up in the middle of the bowl. Next is to coat the dishes with butter. Now our batter goes into our baking dishes. You can see that bubbles are already starting to form. Now the bread needs to rise. We use a setting on our oven called proof. It's around 100 degrees and it takes about an hour and a half for the bread to rise. The bread can also be risen on the countertop or in a warm place, and it usually takes about 3.5 hours. Our bread is now rising in the oven. If your oven doesn't have a proof feature, just a low setting will also work, but you need to monitor that it doesn't get too hot. Here are some interesting notes. You cannot survive off of flour and water alone, but when you combine the two into bread, you can survive indefinitely. In some cultures, the word for bread is also the word for life. The human body is designed to digest fermented sourdough bread, which is why it has been a staple food for thousands of years. Carbon dioxide is the byproduct of natural yeast, and gluten is required to trap this gas in the bread so that it will rise. And white flour is non-perishable. We're at 7,100 feet elevation, so the rising time and the baking time may vary depending on your elevation. Our bread is now out of the oven and ready for the best part. Time to try it. It is so good and it smells so good. This is the best part. This bread is so amazing, and your bread will be just as amazing.